Robert Greene has a law in the law of power that says, think as you like, but behave like others.
You actually done an interview with him as well after the series, right? I followed you in the past in 2020 when I first saw you. Were you bold?
I was.
Are you that guy? No freaking way.
Yeah.
I always say like, I'm grateful for 1 million, but I still want to get to 10 million. So it's really like a odd balance, no?
We're already enough as we are in this moment. And that's what's most important to start off with. But then in the physical and in society, there's always more to gain. But it's about the intention of like, why do you want? Because
how do you kind of identify those people?
it starts with being able to know yourself. In Sun Tzu's Art of War, it says, win war or win a battle, you have to know yourself and then know the enemy. So, and the reason why is because you have to look at yourself. What are your limiting beliefs? What are your toxic traits? My biggest brand I've worked with so far,
I have never gone to that levels yet. What's the most you have made in a month from brand deals?
Well, it's approaching. So like I've posted the video already, and it will be.
Before we get started with today's podcast, I have a small favor to ask. 95% of you guys watching have not subscribed yet. In order to help me bring on bigger guests, if you've learned anything from any of my podcast episodes, please subscribe to this channel. Thank you and enjoy the podcast. Thank you so much, Lawrence, for coming on an episode of the Inspired Mind podcast. I would like to tell the audience that we went through our first conversation, but due to some technical issues, we were not able to. But this conversation is going to bring out a lot more value because I think we both have understood where we can dive into to bring the most out of this conversation, and I'm really excited. I'm actually going to also add some reactions from the last podcast when I figured out who Lawrence was, because so quick story about that was that I was halfway through the podcast or just started of the podcast, and I was looking at Lawrence's face and I was like, I've seen this man's face somewhere. I've seen this person. And I realized when I started my TikTok journey 2020, during that exact time, there was a man who would make TikTok videos in like a greenery type place about life and kind of mindset and motivation. And I'm like, holy crap, it's that guy. So I'll play the reaction right now and you guys can see how I felt during that moment. I felt like I was about to cry. Lawrence, I think I while you're talking, I've had this crazy thing. Have I followed you in the past in 2020 when I first saw you? Were you bold?
I was.
Are you that guy?
I am that
No freaking way.
Yeah, I'm him.
Holy crap.
Yeah, I was bored at one point.
I just realized who you are.
Yeah. Well, there we go. Yeah.
Holy shoot.
It all paid off. Yeah. I would
Bro.
I would go into my fields.
And you would like, it would be in a green nature vibes and you would take videos
right.
and that's the guy, right? Because
Yeah.
I'm trying to imagine you without hair and
Yeah.
and I'm like, holy crap. And then at one point you stopped posting. I think that's the time I'm like, why did this guy stop posting?
Yes.
And I remember your videos blowing up because people really connected in what you were saying as well, the way you were interpreting.
Yeah.
Holy shoot.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
So I knew you way before you even met me.
That was like back in when I had like around 10K.
Yeah, I remember that. I started following you like when you were like 1,000 followers or so.
Mm-hmm.
I started my finance journey during that time as well. And I followed you because I loved your shit. So and that exact time I was going through my kind of awakening, if you would like to say
I think
as well.
everyone was during lockdown.
During lockdown, right?
Yeah.
Many people woke up during lockdown. A lot of people.
That's right.
And so all the stuff you were saying really resonated with me. So I'm like, I have to follow this guy. I completely went off topic, but that just came in my head out of nowhere. I'm like, I recognize that face on TikTok.
That's so cool to hear.
But once again, Lawrence, thank you so much for making the time and coming on the podcast. I want to start this podcast by diving into your early life and share a bit about your journey since then.
It's a pleasure to be here. And yeah, so my early life, starting from primary school, would be that of, well, I lived in London way back when, and I went to school. I was in class with people of all different ethnicities, and there were also some like autistic people in the class. Maybe there were some people with like learning difficulties. It was the complete spectrum.
Okay.
So I had quite an inclusive, all-inclusive experience with people. So, you know, the teachers actually said that I used to be the teacher of the students.
You were the mature one.
Yeah, I would teach the kids who didn't know how to speak English because they just come from whatever country. I'll teach them English. In class, I would give that value to them. So I've been doing this stuff since a young age, I'd say. And then I moved to Essex, which is vastly different. London's a lot more hectic, and Essex is quite, where the greenery is, and everyone is English there. That's it. I was like the only person of color in my entire primary school.
Wow.
So yeah, I had a very quick shift into learning more about that side of things, and there was a lot of like football culture, lad culture. So I naturally got into the group of lads, and that's when I started to kind of leave that side of myself, and I used to just like mess around. I got a lot more immature, but I think that was also a good thing that happened because I got to see both sides of myself. And yeah, moving on to then college, I started to find myself more because I didn't have any friends. University, same thing, no friends, lockdown. So I just took that side of myself, that inner child from back when I was in primary school, and now I'm applying it to the content I create.
I love that so much. And by the way, guys, Lawrence is just 20,
yeah.
And he has over 1.3 million followers on his TikTok, and on other platforms he has a lot more as well, like Instagram, over 150,000. And being 20 and becoming a content creator, kind of now I understand why or where it comes from. But what kind of inspired you to pick that camera, be like, I'm going to become a content creator in 2020?
Well, I wasn't allowed to have a phone.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I had a flip phone for a lot of the time I was in school. So, and everyone else had phones and they had social media. They had I remember when everyone had Blackberries. Remember that?
Oh my
BBM.
Lord, I still remember when I got my first Blackberry, and my BBM didn't even work for like 2 months because I didn't know how to activate it and stuff like that.
You missed out.
But that craze was insane.
And everyone was talking and all pinging each other or whatever, and I wasn't part of that. So, I started getting into the phone situation when I was like year 9 even. I think it was like year 9. So because I got social media pretty late on, I didn't have like the preconception of social media being a platform where it's like an egocentric thing. I post a picture for likes, or I have a Snapchat streak. I did have a few Snapchat streaks, of course, but it wasn't something that I was like, this means so much to me and I'm never losing this streak, or I'm going to message this person. It was never like that. So when TikTok came around, it completely blew every other social media platform out of the water. Like, I'm seeing people who could post a video, a normal person doing a normal thing, and they can get 1 million views overnight. So it just inspired me to then share my messages that I was receiving, from just going inside myself and learning more about who I am. And I thought that because social media is a medium, I should create content on there to reach other people.
Yeah, I love that so much. And back then you must be at uni, or did you?
Yeah, I was at university. Well, I actually started TikTok before I was at university. So I started it in college, and then middle of college, locked down. I remember my friend in my business class was, he has a dad who is friends with some politicians.
Oh, wow.
And he said, oh, my dad told me there's this Chinese virus or something that's coming along. And this is when it hadn't happened yet. And everyone's like, and then he goes on to say that we're going to be locked down and we're going to be like, no exams, nothing.
Yeah.
And we're like, shut up, mate. You're chatting so much, bro. That's not happening. Next thing you know, boom, locked down. And I didn't do anything that entire time. I actually stopped messaging friends. I decided to just start creating those kind of videos in which you said, going into the field, talking about spirituality, because I'd recently had that spiritual awakening. And I think it's a good way to learn more about yourself and apply it to finance, business, and all of these, and create a service,
Definitely.
Yeah. That's how it started.
I love how you're just 20 and you kind of experienced that part of your life, and you are so mature. And I think the reason why I relate to you so much is because if you ask all my friends, I've always been the mature one. Like at 16, I was talking like I was 20. At 20, I was talking like I was 25.
Yeah.
At 23, I'm talking like I'm almost 30 years old, but I'm 23 years old.
Yeah, you do give that vibe.
My beard as well, you can probably see. But being so young and being able to kind of know so much about yourself as well and be aware of yourself, did anything lead up to that stage that you became a person like that?
Well, I mean, to be completely vulnerable, it takes a lot of pain. It takes a lot of, heartbreak, and that can be in the family. It doesn't have to be with a girlfriend or boyfriend. You can feel abandonment at a young age, and all of a sudden you have these responsibilities. You feel like you're almost plagued with this responsibility. Like, I can't sit still for more than, and if I do, it's because, like, I don't necessarily want to, but I just have to like recharge because, a lot of pain, a lot of trauma kind of leads to you building that relationship with yourself because you're forced to. A lot of people who don't go through anything, that they don't have that ability to push through because they haven't like come to terms with it. So yeah, I would say like pain, trauma, all of that.
And
Definitely.
how did you deal with that? Because I feel like many people have childhood traumas, pain.
Everyone does.
And some people don't heal it and they live life with that. And eventually you realize down the line that trauma, that pain you're putting onto someone else. And that's when it becomes toxic in a relationship, on your kids. And I've seen it happen with many people, and I'm learning more about it now because back in the days there was no such thing as trauma, pain. Like,
It's
everyone
so disregarded.
Yeah,
especially
like everyone's a masculine man and you can't be traumatic or like experience. But how do you deal with that part of your life?
It's hard, man. It's like, but it's about what you're focusing on. Your mind is a tool. Your mind is an instrument, and what you're focusing on and what you're tuned into, you will eventually find more. You'd find like how things work. Like instead of running away from the pain, like most people who go to the gym will try and escape that pain through physical means. But instead, if you were to just literally sit down with yourself, you'd actually see where these things are coming from. So yeah, it takes a lot of time, a lot of focus on yourself. But just focusing on the right things, focusing more on the positive as opposed to the negative.
I like that. And I think even letting it out for yourself is such an important part of as a male or female, and letting it go. And I think I had to do that at one point where I just had that biggest breakdown and I had to just let everything go. And it makes you feel so much better as well. Yeah, eventually.
That's right.
Talking about before we dive more into like your content journey and everything, when people do have a spiritual awakening, it's like you feel like you're going mad. And I've recently spoken with a lot of people, a few of my friends as well, and people start treating you differently only because sometimes
they no longer relate to you.
They no longer relate to you, and you might be speaking at a level where maybe they are not relating. Like as you said, they don't understand, or they're not at the same kind of I don't know what the word is, but
level of consciousness.
Level of consciousness, exactly. So what would be some of the things you would, from your experience, would tell? One of the things I would say to those people is just when you have the awakening, know it's a path you have to kind of go through, but also when you communicate with other humans, speak at their consciousness level.
Yes.
And I think that way you will not look different in like so like quick and everything like that. What would be some of the things you would say? Well,
yeah, I would definitely, I meet people at their level. I don't think everyone is connected in some way. A rich person is as valuable, as a poor person because, we're all human beings, right? And, it's funny you say about spiritual awakenings. Most people who are rich are like that. They are very aware and they're very conscious of energy.
Yes.
And money is energy. Money is currency. Currency is energy. So to understand success and all of these traits, you have to understand spirituality to a certain extent. So I would meet people at their level. I wouldn't try to teach people anything. I've actually moved away from doing that. And I've seen somebody else as like a reflection of me. Yes. You can learn so much from everyone.
I love that part so much because I used to be one of those guys where I would sit down with a group of my friends and I would start being that teacher of like spiritual.
Yeah.
And that alienates you from them.
Most definitely.
And they start having a certain type of image about you that they won't like to interact with you ever again.
Robert Greene has a law in the law of power that says, think as you like, but behave like others. That's how to keep power.
You know, I've got the 48 Laws of Power book in my shelf. I still haven't gone through it because I'm just...
Watch my series.
You actually done an interview with him as well after the series, right?
I did, yes. Yeah.
That must have been incredible as well to meet the man who actually... How was it like when you met him and spoke to him?
Well, so like I said, I started off with the book. With the talking to the camera, and because I moved away from that teaching sort of part of myself, I was like, well, I don't know all the answers, so why am I giving people all of this? You know, like instead, I'm gonna find something that people as a whole don't necessarily like to do, and make it easier for them to do. It's like servicing other people. You know, when you're starting a business, you want to make your prices, I guess, fair. You want to have a really good service so that people can buy from you and you feel like it's an even exchange. But whereas if I talk about spirituality, I'm getting rid of all potential people that I can possibly like, you know, they could like my content. So I'm kind of pushing people away from doing that. So I moved to the book videos, and because self-help is a lot more universal, I started to make videos on books, and I got into the 48 Laws of Power, which already like I knew was a huge, it's like, it's got such an aura to it. Like everyone talks about it and it's so controversial.
The hook is straight going to be, this book is banned in prisons.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. Yeah. And I started making videos on the Laws of Power book after I did the $1 Million Habits first, and then I did How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Amazing book.
Yeah, great. And then Laws of Power. And the Laws of Power series just blew up. It basically blew up, and one of them's got like 8 million views. And that was definitely my most popular series. I went from 25,000 followers to 300,000 followers in like a week or so. And my goal was to get to 100,000. So it just surpassed that completely. And I was like, oh, now it's 1 million, I guess. So I basically got hooked up with an interview with Robert Greene because I just emailed his email. And when I spoke to him, he said, you know, I was looking at the sales for 48 Laws of Power and I see this big spike. And I'm like, where is this coming from? And apparently it was me.
Wow.
Yeah, like me who made these silly 15-second videos on these chapters, just completely blew up the sales of the book. And yeah, it was quite interesting talking to him because you can tell he's a very dark person, but he knows how to use that darkness. You know, he transmutes his anger and all of these feelings into his books, which makes them so like powerful, and actually pushes a lot of people away because it's like, oh, that's evil. But power is a universal thing. You know, you can use it for good or you can use it for evil. But yeah, that's what I love about it.
He's the man who kind of gives me, from what you just described, is like a thing about when it comes to being spiritual in business or when creating content, right? Having good work ethics, doing stuff the right way is super important, because when you're a spiritual being, you wouldn't like it doing something wrong. And he done it in a great way. He kind of had the book, and he I think followed his own law, which is that think the way you want, but behave like others want you to behave, and stuff like that, which is amazing. Going back to your part about creating content and kind of getting followers and doing everything and making money through content. There's so many things I want to discuss, but one is the following part. You know how you said your goal was to get 100, then your goal was to get then you were like, it never ends, right? And I want to kind of like, how do you deal with that kind of mindset of like never having enough, yet you're like grateful? Because it's hard to, I always say like, I'm grateful for 1 million, but I still want to get to 10 million. So it's really like a odd balance, no? So what was your thought process like?
Well, we're already enough as we are in this moment, and that's what's most important to start off with. But then in the physical and in society, there's always more to gain. But it's about the intention of like, why do you want? Because a lot of people, I want to get famous. But if you don't have an intention and you try to get famous, you're going to run into a lot of different character types of people. who are probably not the best for you. You're probably gonna end up getting led down a dark path. You know, you have to have your intention at the forefront of your mind. So in relation to the followers, my intention was to inspire more people. I want to serve and inspire more people. And you kind of get that, like, you're almost at the same it's almost like you have to be tuned into that sort of, you know, only certain people can get to that level because they're open to it, you know. And if I had said, oh, I want to get 1 million followers, that's it, I probably wouldn't be there. But it's like, I want to inspire 1 million people.
You know, when I wrote my manifestation journal, I want to inspire a community of 1 million people. Yeah. That's exactly what I wrote in the book.
And you've done that.
And I've done that as well. It's crazy. Because when I used to write that, I used to actually, after writing it, put headphones on and play music, which gave me goosebumps and the feelings of how I would feel to hug that one person. Because feelings are an important part as well about energy and how you can kind of bring it into reality and existence. And one thing I liked about what you said about having intention as well is gives you purpose in the sense that you're doing it for the sake of doing it. So even when you reach like a number, it won't be depressing like it was for me. Because after hitting 1 million, I felt depressed as hell. Really? Yes.
Interesting. Tell me more about that. I'm very interested in that.
When I first started my journey, it was just about like going to the numbers was the kind of thing for me, like having 1 million, 2 million. Yes, I wanted to inspire people, but like number, and I was like, 1 million is it? Like that's my dream. And then after I reached there,
you're just like, it's like an empty void.
It's a hollow place to be in. I stopped. My hunger was gone. The same fire I had to create content was gone. I became lazy. I became inconsistent in my content as well. I started overthinking about content. I'm like, now I have 1 million people watching. I need to make sure videos are like this, like that. I need to improve the quality of this and that. And that led me to a downhill side. And then slowly I had to kind of get back up as well. But in that journey, I had many negative people and I couldn't find who those were. And you said that when you were on a journey to kind of your goal or whatever you want to reach, if you have an intention, you will not be able, like no negative person will be able to come across, you will not come across any, but I think you will still come across. And how do you kind of identify those people?
Well, it starts with being able to know yourself. In Sun Tzu's Art of War, it says to win war or win a battle, you have to know yourself and then know the enemy. So if you know your enemy, if you know yourself, then you will know your enemy. And the reason why is because you have to look at yourself. What are your limiting beliefs? What are your toxic traits? What are my limiting beliefs, my toxic traits? And then when you speak to somebody else, you can kind of see through the facade they put on, you know? And the more time you spend with somebody, you can kind of see like how they're moving. And you just have to ask yourself, like, does this person serve me in a positive way? Or am I with them simply to like fulfill some limiting belief that I have about myself? Yeah. And that's what a lot of relationships nowadays are like. But, you know, once you become very self-aware, you kind of just like move through these people, and you can use the people as well to like fulfill certain aspects of your life, you know, and then once they're no longer serving you, you can move away. It's all about understanding yourself, you know.
What are some of the things which you kind of did to kind of become even more self-aware? Because most people aren't. They don't even know about what they're good at and what they're bad at.
Yeah, so that's what's most important. I'll just cut you off there because I want to say it's about understanding what you're good at. Like it's so simple. It's like, what are you good at? Because you have to stop looking at what society's telling you should be, or like, because society it puts you through like almost like a filtering system. You know, it's doing everything for you. It's like the state is like the father figure in a way. You know, like the government is like the father figure, and then it's like leading people, you know, almost astray, because what your soul wants and what society wants are very different things.
Trust me. And the society is putting layer upon layer upon layer upon layer.
That's correct. Yeah. And then labels, identities, you know, and that's why we have this like identity thing with like, oh, I identify as this, I identify as that. But it's because they don't understand that we are all infinite. We're all capable of doing whatever we want. That labels are really like, you know, there's no need for them. But anyway, when it comes to that filtering system, you have to kind of sit back and say, all right, who am I? What am I naturally good at? What am I not forcing in life? and then you have to feed more into it. And the more you focus on that specific thing, you manifest like these whole new opportunities. Like I'll give myself as an example, myself, you know, I'm good at being sensitive, empathetic, and I'm good at understanding people. So a big reason for my success is because I have good relationships with people.
Yes.
I have relationships with the right people. And that's what's got me to kind of where it is, because where I am, because when you understand people, you know, you can choose, okay, this person's successful, they're good for me, I'm going to learn from that person, and I'm also going to give them value as well.
Yes.
Relationships make the world go round. People, humans make the world go round. So that's what I feed into. But you could be an introvert.
Yes.
But you can tap into a whole other side. Maybe you're a very, very creative introvert that you want to kind of be behind the camera, you know, and you want to do something here.
Writing.
But yeah, exactly. And you will be of service to somebody. And money is a byproduct of that. You know, it's not the goal, it's a byproduct. Money will come to you when you feed into that. Because if you're the only person who can do what you're doing, that's a niche. And, you know, that's when you get rewards for where you are.
And you did say money is energy.
Yes.
I don't really understand the thing, because sometimes when I'm getting a lot of money in my life, I'm like, things are going well. But when I'm not getting a lot of money, I'm like, how do I now sit here and be like, yes, universe, send me more money, or I'm open for money, more money, right? It's like the classic affirmations and everything.
Yeah.
So 2 questions there for you.
Mm-hmm.
How does it work that money is energy, and how do you flow that energy more in your life, or someone listening and they're like, how does this thing work?
Well, reality is you have to get money. You know, it's there's no like sitting down and just like waiting for it to come. You have to go out.
And that's
and
what people think that they should be doing, and I think that's the biggest lie out there.
Well, it's very narcissistic to think that you deserve money, you know, without giving something,
without any value.
Yeah, without having any value. You have to find your value. And if you don't know that, then society will put you in a box, and then you will fulfill said role, and you won't be fulfilled. So when it comes to you have to focus in on what it is you're like, you know, your not even passion, but what your path is, and that can only be understood from within.
Being self-aware
Self-aware. And you asked me what I did to become self-aware, and again, it just goes back to the experiences I've been through. You know, I don't willingly put myself through pain, but it's like my life path has been that way. I've naturally just ended up in bad places a lot, so I've had to pull myself out of it. And because I have that relationship with myself, you know, I can kind of apply it to the real world.
Have you watched Naruto, by the way?
I haven't.
There's a character called Pain.
Okay.
And he's one of the most powerful people in there as well. And he has, it kind of exactly defines what you're saying. Like pain is the path to kind of become more self-aware, find out who you are, and you must go through pain in order for you to be able to kind of discover yourself as well.
That's right, because you understand more about other people as well, because we all go through pain.
Yeah.
And my current series at the moment is Notes to Strangers. So I will hand out these sentimental notes. Yeah.
By the way, guys, go watch some of Lawrence's TikTok.
Try not to cry challenge.
Try not to cry. I had tears in my eyes, even though I was just watching and I was just looking at a lady read a note. Yeah. I had tears in my eyes for some reason. But one thing on your series, I was thinking you should actually, the Note series should have sub-series like pain, trauma, and then
hard truth, kindness.
Exactly, kindness, and then you can kind of have them as light playlist as well, which people can kind of go through as well.
That's actually not a bad idea.
Not a bad idea.
I kind of like the uncertainty. You know, what is this note going to say, and that's what keeps people scrolling.
Yeah.
But you know, when
must get the algorithm there.
So the Note videos for me were universal, more so than the books as well, because not everyone likes to read, and I mean, people can read like a few words on the note, you know, and then they're looking at a person and they're relating to the person, and then the music and the camera angles, like there's so much involved in it. And it's like cinema almost, you know.
Exactly.
It's like cinema.
And
Yeah.
I want to come to your creative processes and
Mm.
kind of your mind into how you think of content, everything
Yeah.
really soon. Just before that, I want to say you need to watch Naruto because it's really great.
Yeah.
It's basically
I've never watched anime. No.
that was my second or third anime in my life.
Oh, that's Naruto. That there.
That,
oh, okay.
I just ruined it for you.
Oh no.
You were not supposed to see that. but it teaches you a lot, like in terms of life. It's a series which is like almost 1,000 episodes, but
Wow.
there's so much learning in there. And just other question which I did ask was like, do you think affirmations are really useful in a sense?
Well, I actually watched or read a quote this morning. It said, "It's not about affirming; it's about having undeniable proof that you are the person who you say you are."
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's about doing something in the real world, and achieving something, getting that first 5-figure a month,
Yeah.
and like you look back and you're like, oh shit! Like a year ago, I prayed for this,
Yeah.
and now I've got it, and now you have that proof. Because if you're sitting in your room and you haven't done anything, and you're like, I am a multimillionaire, I am a multimillionaire, like you can say it, you can essentially lie to yourself, but and maybe if you really believe it, you will bring yourself into that reality.
You'll manifest it.
Yeah, of
into your
course. Like
reality.
you'll like have that quantum shift where you will start doing that.
Yeah.
But if you don't have the hard, real evidence, then you're not that person.
Yeah.
So you have to go out there and achieve it. And it starts with atomic habits. Like you don't have to shoot for the stars straight away. It starts with like making your bed in the morning, or doing 10 push-ups. Or having a glass of water the first thing you do when you wake up, not going on your phone.
Making one TikTok a week.
Making a TikTok, yeah. Well, I mean, a day actually. That's it.
Yeah.
But you have to focus on these small things, and you will build this reality for yourself. And it starts from within. It starts with the small things, and it slowly but surely expands.
I like that, and I think there's another. I think I've promoted Alex Hormozy so much in this podcast, even though he's a guy. He currently blew up. He's like a owner of this company called acquisition.com, which is a portfolio company of 100 million, blah blah blah.
Okay.
But he had a post on Twitter, and he was like, to be better at selling, you need to have evidence. You need to have confidence, and confidence comes from evidence. So like, you will only be able to sell
That's
something
right.
if you're confident in yourself, and you will only be confident if you've actually done it or proved it, and you have done it over and over again.
Yes.
So I think what you said, it applies in every aspect of your life as well, whether that's business or just even doing something in your life itself.
Yes.
But now going to your kind of maintaining your life, and you're 20 years old, and now you're a full-time content creator, I'm assuming, and you make money on social media. So how do you sustain your life as a content creator?
Again, it's about intention. When I first started off, my intentions were reach 100,000, but the reason why is because it was accessible. You could access the creator marketplace or something on TikTok. Now they brought that down. It's like 15,000.
No, it's still 100.
Oh, it's still 100,000.
It's 100,000.
Oh yeah, 15,000.
At 10,000, it's there's another thing at 10,000, and the second thing is at 100,000.
Oh, I see. But I've never used
trash, by the way.
Yeah, I've never used a
Same.
creative marketplace in my life. It's like, what are you guys doing? I was speaking to somebody from TikTok at this event, and I was like, so like, how does one person, it's like a year ago, how do I get more brand deals and stuff? So you use a creative marketplace. I just looked at it and I was like, what are you talking about? Do you even understand your app? Like, it's just not.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and
they don't know what they're doing.
The creative market is so messed up. Like, there's so much happening. Like, random brands will reach out and be like, send us a script straight.
I had like
without negotiation.
I had a fake Sheen. Like Sheen.
Yeah.
I had a fake Sheen like message me. It was like Sheen shop or something. It's just absolutely crazy.
It's going bollocks.
Chaos.
And what's crazy is that TikTok is linked with TikTok Shop. Like, TikTok Creator Marketplace is linked with TikTok Shop. So what people do is that if a brand wants to send you a product and you sell that product through your own TikTok Shop, then they give you a commission. And it's like currently there's so many things they're trying that they're not really focusing just on brands. And that's why for creators like you and me, that place is just a trash hole.
But it will get better. I'm sure they'll update it. Like as most platforms do, they'll update.
I hope.
With time. Yeah. I'm sure it will. Social media is not going anywhere, and like there's such a market for it now that people are constantly distracted. And it's like the phone is like the perfect device to be distracted with. So it's never going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
I don't think. Not for a while. But if you ask me how I make money from it, and that would be brand deals. My intention was to work with more brands. And I, it's a journey, because, you go through there and, I don't understand like I don't know what my rates are. I don't know how to, I don't even know what, at this point, I don't even know what a client is. Like, what is a client? Like all these different things, like marketing, emails for, I didn't even know there were like marketing people who work regular jobs at these big companies who could like hook you up with like a 5-figure deal. Like, I didn't know any of this, but it's by like emailing and going through this stuff for me, I learn by doing. I don't really like watch other people or like even finance creators or anything. I don't really watch like any, but I don't watch, but I don't watch any of it, because I'm so focused on like, what am I naturally good at?
Yeah.
And I build that. And I think everyone should do that. But also it is good to watch outside of yourself as well, because you can learn something you've never heard of before.
That's why you should watch finance creators.
That's what, yes.
That's why.
So yeah, I work with brands. So my biggest brand I've worked with so far is Beats by Dre.
Bloody hell, Beats by Dre.
Yeah.
I have never gone to that levels yet.
So I am a client of Beats, which is quite cool to think. And Beats are my client, which is quite cool.
What's the most you have made in a month from brand deals?
Well, it's approaching. So like I've posted the video already, and it will be 5 figures for like one video.
What do you say the range is between 15 to 20k or 10 to 15k?
10 to 15. Yeah.
That's incredible.
And it's one video, man. It's one video.
It's one video?
It's one video. Like, what is happening, But like, I did do a bit more work with them. Like, I
think, as you said, you're good at building relationships.
That's right, yeah.
I think that's your key reason why you have been able to, from one video, make that much
I'm good at being myself, and like, I'm talking to these like corporate people, but they're just human beings. So I'm like laughing with them in the WhatsApp group chat. Or like, I'm like laughing on a Zoom call or something, or a Google Meet. And it's like, they were like, oh yeah, we're going to send you some gifts. Like, we're going to send you like 5, let's say like, for example, we're going to send you 5 gifts, just to be sure. Like, because if you give somebody a note and a gift and they don't react, you might want to have more. And I was like, do you think you could possibly give me 10 just to be sure? And it's like, everyone's laughing, and it's just like, it's fun,
Yeah, I like that a lot. It's like, at the end of the day, there are humans on the other end of the
That's right. It's
screen.
Not everything is about like, oh yeah, my rate is this, and I have this consumer demographic graph of whatever. Like, bro, like everyone at the core, everyone wants to feel included, and everyone wants to feel like they're being seen.
Yeah.
So if you can just like be that mediator, then you're going to build very long lasting relationship.
I'm going to take that as a lesson for myself, because I always just reach out with like, oh, here's my pitch deck, or here's my demographics, blah 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 blah. Here's my rating, like rates and blah blah blah. And I think in that sense, I'm just dissing that person technically, but like I'm not even asking about that person. So
yeah,
I think I'll definitely take that into consideration
for sure.
And talking about Beats by Dre, did they reach out to you, or you reached out to them?
So what happens now? Normally the model is like, so agencies, like you have modeling agencies, you've got like whatever agencies. There's now agencies for
influencers.
Yeah. TikTok, or no, actually not necessarily. Because obviously you do have those like talent agencies.
Yeah.
But these are agencies that have brands as clients. So instead of having influencers as clients where they pay them like whatever for getting a brand deal, there'll be agencies that have these brands as clients. So like the agency will do outreach on behalf of the brand, or the brand will see a creator that they like and say, oh, we want to include this person in our ad campaign. And I'm gonna reach out to this person. Did you reach out
to these agencies?
No, these agencies normally reach out to me, but it's because I've got such a niche content, like, production, or like, I've got a niche. So they'll see my videos, and I think because of, again, the human is behind the account. So if they've got tears in their eyes, they're like, and their videos are getting a lot of views and whatever, they're going to be like, I like this person's content, we want to work with him. And you don't have to have a lot of followers to get brand deals. You can have 1,000 followers, which obviously is still incredible amounts.
Yeah. People don't understand that.
It's mad. Even 10 people who've like liked your video. It's just incredible. There are 10 real human beings
that liked your video.
Exactly. So they like your value. Now, when it comes to brand deals, it's like, if they see that you're consistent, and you have like a solid fan base, doesn't matter how many followers you have, you can do this outreach as well, and they'll pay you amount. But yeah, you'll start to see more of your value, and you'll start to charge more rates, and it's just an upward spiral from when you understand. Right.
And the only part as a creator, one thing which is always in the back of our head is like, yes, I have to be consistent, but I also have to bring on results to make sure they get the worth out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And do you ever sometimes, being a kind of spiritual person in that sense, doing business spiritually and feeling kind of like making money through this way and then this didn't get, like, does there ever conflict, and how do you keep that kind of mindset?
What do you mean? Is it like, do you think there's a
it's like, I don't know, like let's say you worked with a brand, you couldn't get them any results, and then you're like, oh man, I messed up. But I think with you it will be a different case, but I think with myself it will be a different case because you really care about the person and go deeper in that.
Well, the thing is, like, the way I've positioned myself, because life is like chess, life is like a strategy based game. If you position yourself in a place where you are the only person in your field, or the only person doing what you're doing, people will come to you, and you will provide results because no one else is providing that kind of content or that kind of like writing style, or that kind of design. So I think I don't think I will disappoint, but if I do, I kind of just like accept that it's happened, and I'll just learn from it.
One thing I've started to do to kind of get that killed out of myself is I tell them I will do another video for you for free, just to kind of make sure at least it's worth something. And I think that gives them at least more assurance that this guy actually cares about the brand.
Yeah.
This is not all about just the money. He actually wants the results as well.
That's correct.
But now I want to really know your creative process of like going from scripting to, even before scripting, like coming up with ideas and coming up with new type of ideas. And how do you make sure these people will love this? Like, what are some things you add in your videos, which a maybe new content creator or a new creative person is watching and he's a newbie? Like, what is your process?
So I'll actually watch TikTok. A lot of people, if they're creators, they're like, oh, I don't watch TikTok. But like, you kind of have to do some market research.
You have to consume in order to produce.
That's right. And I'm watching through, and I'm like, sometimes I'll get annoyed at certain videos, be like, oh, these videos are so negative. So then, like, what do you naturally do? Like, okay, in that case, if there's not a lot of positive videos, I'm going to start making positive videos, and not care about what people think, not care about people at your school watching your videos, because they're so irrelevant.
Yeah.
Like, they are so irrelevant. People don't understand how irrelevant the people you went to school with are. They're like, you were forced into that group. School made you wouldn't even be their friends, like, if you didn't know them at school. So of course you have friends at school, but like, who are still with you. But if they're not following your dream, if they're not following like, your kind of mission, then they're not your friend. They're just like an acquaintance or somebody, like a peer, somebody but yeah, I went a bit off topic there, but
I like how you start talking about that specific.
But that's another barrier to success. A lot of people care so much about what people think.
Every single person I have met, even one of my team members who loves producing music, right? He loves creating rap or drill type music.
Yeah.
And one thing he kept saying is like, I'm scared to post on my account because the people who I follow are my school friends.
Man, that's funny. Because my account on Instagram is the account I used to like post my pictures on. So I did a lot of like, because I started dressing quite differently when I was in college, or like the end of school, end of secondary school type thing. I started dressing differently. I started wearing like Vans, like flame Vans, or like rolled up jeans and stuff. And like all of the lads were like, oh, you're dressing like a gay guy or whatever. You're gay, blah, blah, or whatever. Just saying these things here and there. And I'm just like, man, like you genuinely can't do anything without somebody saying something. And like I had such a barrier to posting on Instagram, because I was like, what are people going to think? Like, this is going to be, they're going to be posting it, sharing it with people and being like, oh, whatever. And like that stuff did happen. Like, I've spoken to some friends and they were like in their own group chats, like being like, oh, he's gone mad, or he's lost his mind. But no, I've actually gained my mind. I found my independent thought, And when I started like posting and I'm getting no views, I'm getting insecure because on Instagram specifically, I'm like, oh, it's not like reaching the people I want it to. But you just have to stay focused and stay consistent, because you will find an audience. If you're truly creating from your heart and creating from what is true to you, you will find an audience. People, the funny thing is, because people are natural followers. Everyone is a natural follower. We follow religion, or we follow this girl that we like, or we follow this football team or something like that. But what people don't understand is like, you have the ability to be a leader.
Yes.
If you just stay focused on your own inner vision, people are like, okay, I subscribe to that, so they will follow you. It doesn't matter how many people, it will just come eventually.
I like the thinking as well, and I think most people, I always say this, that people who hate on you are the people who want to be you, but they don't have the ability to be you. Or
they want to express themselves like you do.
Yes.
And that's why and especially in the UK, like anything you do is met with instant judgment.
Yep.
If you step out of line in any way, judgment from family, from friends. So you just ask yourself, like, who are these people?
Yep.
Like I spent a year away from my family just to focus and dial in on myself, because everything I did was just met with judgment. And that's also a reflection of me as well, because the thing is, if I was doing everything with pure intention, if I was doing everything from the heart, like that judgment wouldn't affect me.
Yep.
So I had to leave and find myself and to be like, what is natural to me? And then once you kind of reprogram yourself, you can then go back and kind of realize that, oh, like I was just playing a big game with myself. I had this all within me this entire time, and everyone out there does. You still have that. So it's a matter of just following that vision. Before
I move on to the kind of that thing you said about like judgment and like your mind and everything.
Yeah.
After, let's say, you get to the part of actually producing the content, you produce the content itself as well. But let's say you're not seeing any results, or not even that sense, but like, how do you keep upgrading your content itself? Because you started from just making videos in the field, then you went to the book series, and then I don't know if you had another phase before you came to this notes one, but like, how did you come up with these new ideas? Because they are creative in its own way. I don't think the book note one was that popular, or even was there out there prior to you doing it.
I mean, I'm an innovator, and it all comes from within. It's like I was actually walking through my field yesterday, because I'm back in my hometown, and I'm just thinking to myself, like, man, like, because I'm in the same place I was when I started off in TikTok. I'm just like, I've come so far. I've come so far with just upgrading ideas, and that's because I lose my ego every day, and that's what I aim to do, is like lose myself every day, not get caught up. If something's not working, take a step back, stop looking outside, and just kind of focus in, like, what emotions am I feeling? Where do I want to go in life? And you create your content based on that, because what's in here is original. No one else has done it before. You're the only person who exists. You're the only person who's experiencing life from your perspective. So anything that is in here is original. So you got to put that out there and slowly but surely mold it. Like, nothing works first time. I think people are so focused on being like the perfect creator from the moment they step in. My first video was so bad.
You don't want to see my face.
Bro, I'm looking at the camera. I'm just like, your thoughts create your reality. Right?
I remember that. That's why I remember you speaking like literally,
like a robot.
And then you would take a pause, and then you go, and I'm like, holy crap. But back then, it was so great. Like, no one really will go look at. Like, if I see you again with that way, I'll still feel like it's just normal. Like, it's just a guy making content out there.
That's right. I mean, it's all about.
You might just want to pull the mic just in case it's a bit lower.
Yeah, sure.
So you can just pull it to yourself if you.
Yeah. That good?
Yeah, that's a lot better.
No, so yeah, it's all about soul searching, and you might not believe in a soul, but you have to find the terms that work for you. You might believe in, okay, let's say, like, everyone has a heart, right? But there's like a sensitivity that comes to your heart, and are you expressing yourself to the fullest amount? And are you able to translate that into a video or into writing or into journaling or something, you know. A lot of people are not creatives, so you might not want to go to that.
How do you get into a creative state? Like you.
Oh, so for me, it comes naturally because I'm like constantly disassociated from reality.
I mean, that's one way to do it.
But if you want to get into that state, because if you're too analytical, like, because there's two sides of your brain. You've got the left brain, which is logical, analytical, rational, and then the right side of the brain, which is creative, you know, open and imaginative, you know. And I think the best thing to do is to bridge the gap, you know, take that creativity and then use that left side of your brain to look out at the world and say, this is what's happening here. You know, this particular group of people needs this. I'm going to service that, you know? Yeah. And you just have to understand, like, energy, you know, where are you forcing things? Because a lot of people, like, you know, they think that forcing something is like working hard. Like, I'm hard at work.
That's me.
Well, I mean, I called you out. I called you out here.
I sometimes think I'm working hard, but I'm just forcing myself to work.
That is very, very counterintuitive. And the reason I say that is because it's like you're grinding against, like, what is a surfer doesn't like go against the wave and say like, oh, I'm gonna beat this wave. No, like, he flows with the wave, and it's graceful. And that's how to get yourself into that state. Just when you wake up, what's your first thought? Be conscious, be aware. What is your first thought, or what is your first inclination? You know, mine this morning was to go on my phone and check my emails. Like, that was like my immediate first thought. And that's because I'm emailing certain people who I've like kind of put in that bracket of like, I want to, you know, do this
with them.
Yeah, I want to collaborate with this thing. But it's like, you have to be aware of why you're doing certain things, you know? And if you can meditate and you can sit still, sit with yourself, do yoga, you know, not have any distractions, close your eyes, you can get yourself into that state quite easily. And it might manifest itself as maybe not doing content, but going for a run. Yes. And then you're like, oh, I love going for runs. I'm going to go for a run every day. And that just builds like a whole new side of life. Like,
what you just said, it is really true, because sometimes for me to get creative, it'll be just a walk from here to the shop and back. Honestly. And that releases so much, like it releases, like scientifically, it releases endorphins and so much that it just makes you a lot more creative. Because when you're just stuck in a room, packed in a room, and you're just trying to think, what's that idea? Go for a short walk and you will come across 10 different amazing ideas.
Yes. And nature walks.
Nature, yes.
That's my thing.
You won't believe, but I haven't done a nature walk since so long. But every time I go in nature, I just get charged up. Like I just feel like I'm ready to just go again and smash this content thing.
Yeah.
And it's just something else about nature. But one thing about views and analytics and everything, in the start, I would say don't worry about it.
No,
right? Don't worry about it. But once you get to a certain stage, it starts playing with your mind. Like, oh shit, my video did not perform. Like, one might not perform and you're like, yeah, it's fine, might not perform. But let's say you have 10 videos in a row not performing and you're relying on content creation as a source of income.
Yeah.
How do you kind of deal with those emotions?
Well, have
you had that moment where you...
Yes, like, most definitely. There were months where I wouldn't receive a penny.
Wow.
And, you know, I had to pay rent because I was living out in Cambridge and I was at university, but I dropped out second year and I had like a studio to myself. So that was hard because, you know, I had to get that money. I ended up doing like some crypto deals and stuff to get money, which is not like ethical, but, you know, it's like, just had to be done.
Had to be done.
Had to be done because I was like, oh damn, like this could go left very easily. But you know, you just have to continue to like soul search and say, you know, all right, so am I doing something that's realistic? Because you could be doing something that's completely unrealistic. So I had to get myself a job. I was working at Gant, the clothes shop.
So this is when you had a certain amount of followers and you couldn't get any brands coming through.
Yeah, I was at about 300,000. My views were quite
at that
low.
point. Most people would have an ego of not going back to a job as well. No.
Yeah, most definitely, and I had that, but I was like, nah, I have to be realistic because reality is reality, you know. Yeah. So yeah, I went worked in retail. At the time I was modeling as well. So I had to be like, you know, why am I doing modeling? I'm doing it because of ego. I stopped doing modeling. I had to. I was like, no, I'm not doing it anymore. No questions asked. And then same thing with uni. It's sucking my energy. I don't want to do it. And I've got this account here, and I've got these people who are like here for a good reason. I'm going to keep putting energy into that, but I need to make money somehow. So I worked a job in Ghent. And that's when I met two of my best friends, the barefoot guy on TikTok and Oshu Clips on TikTok. And we were just the three content creators in Cambridge, and we would go out. I didn't have a camera. My friend Josh lent me his camera, microphone, and we went out and started asking questions in public, and started handing out the notes. And that's when stuff really started to get
take off.
So I guess there's an element of luck involved as well.
Yes.
And also I had a Facebook page reach out to me as well. So I do work for a Facebook page on the side. So I ask people questions in public, and I get paid like per video. So it's a decent sustainable income. So I have time to like go out and talk with people, and yeah, it's pretty good where I'm at. But it's a lot of luck, but it's also a lot of persistence. Just consistency, focus, and just like not giving up on your vision, because your imagination is like real. It's not like some dreamland. It's like this stuff that you're imagining to yourself to be is a reality for you to step into.
Yep.
And God, if you believe in God, I know for certain God exists, because when you pray and you meditate and you get into that state, God speaks to you.
Yes.
You just have to be willing to listen.
Yes, and I 100% agree with that, because for some it may be God, for some it may be energy, but there is some higher form which is out there, which is there for you. If you're gonna seek for help from that, it will be there for you any time of the day as well. So I like what you just said there as well, kind of like not having the ego to go back to a job. And when it comes to business, especially like doing a startup or starting a business, what most people feel that is, I need to get a job because business is too risky. I always tell them, why don't you do the opposite? You can get a job anytime. Why don't you just start a business?
You can get a job and then you can do your business in the evening.
Exactly. You could do that, or you could do the reverse as well, where you just spend 2 years of your life after uni trying to start a business. I know in this society it's really difficult because parents, peer pressure, and so much out there that will kind of force you to get a job. But if you just spend 2 years trying to start a business around a passion you have, imagine it works out. I'm a real example of this. I had a job and this was my side hustle, and now I'm able to do this full time as well.
That's
so
amazing.
I feel like for people to kind of know that, just go and do your thing for at least a while, because if nothing works out, you can always go back to a job as well.
That's right. There's no harm in working a job.
Yes, exactly.
Especially if you're doing your job, you can have flexible hours. Do something that, again, you enjoy. Like I went into sales, so retail, because I know sales is a valuable skill, and I need to learn sales. Like I have to. So I got really good at talking with people. I love the clothes there, so I'd get like a discount on the clothes. We sponsoring Gant every video I did, because I was wearing like these Gant shirts.
Oh wow!
Not official brand deal, but like I would just like wear the clothes because that's all I had, because I would just like be getting it on discount. So yeah, just focusing on what you like and gaining inspiration from what it is that you like doing. And there's a lot of like, Andrew Tate, for example, he propagates this idea of like, don't follow your passion. That's true, because your passion might not make you money, it might not sustain. Yeah, exactly. I mean, someone's passion could be like watching films all day. That's their passion. Films, like but what you should be doing is doing something that is bringing you real value. And if you are into films, instead of just being lazy, like you could actually speak to people. There are people on the street who are involved in films. Yeah. Speak to them, say, oh, can I attend? I don't want anything. I just want to attend this particular thing or event or whatever, network, and you will build that network of people. It's like an ecosystem of people you can go to. I was outside the Odeon in Leicester Square, and I spoke to a cameraman. I didn't even know. I just walked up to him and I was like, oh, it's a fellow cameraman, because I'd had my camera at the time, just opening up that conversation. And he works for the BAFTAs. So that's just like a whole other route I could end up down if I really like build that connection with him. So people are everywhere, and people will get you to where you need to be.
And you're always one person away from the person you need to meet to
that's very
change
true.
Your life as well.
That's so true. Yeah.
It's crazy because most people think talking to a stranger on the street is weird.
No, that's the press program in there.
It's
Yeah.
programmed, right?
Yeah, that's complete. We're not even strangers. We're not actually strangers. Like we're all human. We're all like the same. It's like so stupid. It's like a kindergarten, or like sound like somebody in school who's talking about this. But like it's genuinely like we are all connected in this way. We have five fingers, 5 toes. I hope everyone does. But
I hope everyone does.
but like we're the same.
Yeah.
And you know, if you just approach people with the right energy, with pure intention, they'll notice that. You know, I will have conversations with complete strangers, and I'll make friends with them. Like,
and you will feel like this is a person I know for so long.
Yes, you feel like that naturally with the right people. And yeah, I believe that so much. Like, you know, when I've met a few people, I've met KSI, for example, and when I spoke to him, I didn't think, oh, he's some big YouTuber and he's a celebrity or whatever. I was like, let me speak to him like a normal person. And we just had a normal conversation. You know, I was just like, man, I like your videos. You're the first person I watched on YouTube. Simple compliment. And he was like, oh man, like you've been watching my videos since you were like how old? And you're already taller than me. You whatever. It's like we're like friends. We're having a friendly conversation. Yeah. And that just leads you to just people you could never even imagine.
Wait,
you know?
Remind me how you got to KSI.
Oh, right. Yeah, I should explain. So we were at BBC Big Weekend.
Okay. You were invited to that?
I wasn't. My friend was. See, again,
Okay.
people. My friend was, and I was his +2. I was +1, another +1. And we had tickets into the VIP section. So that's where the TikTokers were, you know, and everyone. And KSI was performing. I saw Central C. He was performing as well. I didn't speak to him. Ed Sheeran was there, but I didn't end up seeing him.
Okay.
But yeah, it's about going to events, networking
Connecting
events.
with people.
Yeah, you can send an email to these people. They work jobs at these companies. Like, just say, I've got a camera. I want to come and take photos. Just try it. Just try. You know?
I like that.
Yeah,
I like
just
that.
shoot it. Like, what's the harm in it?
What's the harm?
Yeah.
Like, if you have a good DSLR, you can just be like create your own page and be like, you're a you have this page where you like to kind of post
Fake it until you make it.
Oh my lord.
Yeah.
Now see this thing of fake it till you make it, I do that a lot.
Yes. Bro, you have to.
I do that a lot. But then again, like sometimes the part of like when you want to do everything right, the right way, sometimes you start having a battle with your mind, like, are you faking it in this sense? But then it's like you're living the way you want to live when you make it, so then your reality can automatically shift into the way
that is perfect. The way you said that was perfect.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
And I think most people don't understand that, and that's the way I kind of tell my mind, and I keep going, because sometimes other people's opinion will get to me, and when it does get to me, I start battling with my own mind. But now I've become a lot more self-aware. I follow my own intuition. Yes, I follow my own intuition.
Yeah.
And those things. But now, talking about you having done content, any plans to start a business?
Not right now, because, you know,
what would that business be first?
I don't know, bro. I've never been like that business kind of person. I've never known what I wanted to do ever. I kind of see myself more as a business in a way.
That is what my personal brand is. My personal brand is me.
Yeah.
I'm the business itself as well. So you already have a business technically, and you're making 5 figures a month, which when you're like 3 years ago, you would have never, that is not possible.
3 years ago, I didn't think that was even possible.
Trust me. When I hit those numbers for the first time, I'm like, I'm making my yearly salary in a month.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell is happening right now?
Yeah.
And it's a crazy time.
But it's because we have positioned ourselves in a place where, like, this is where it's at. This is the new media. We are the new media.
We're the new journalists, we're the new cameramans, we're the new everything, but we're all packaged in one.
That's correct. And I can move as myself. I can walk into a room and be like, I am the business. I'm
selling myself. I'm the product.
That's right. Yeah. And you can't be anyone but yourself, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah,
do you know what's crazy? I'm gonna cut you there.
Yeah.
No one can replace you because you're you.
Exactly.
No one can copy you as a product because no one can be you.
That's right.
So that's the biggest thing, the best thing about building a personal brand. And I think in the 21st, or currently, most people ask me like, Jatz, what's the best business? I'm like, just make a personal brand. Make videos or
100%.
content around things you enjoy. And if you don't want to put your face on the camera, just do a podcast, which is not even camera based, just audio based, and people will still listen to your opinions and
Most
feel
definitely.
something. Crazy to say. I want to go now into some of the deep questions, and
Sure.
well, I call them the Inkspired Man deep questions, but they're just normal questions. The first question is, what is your definition of success?
Just contentment. You know, feeling content with who you are, where you are, and just being as present as possible. I think that is true success.
How do you stay present? Because I always drift into the future. Like, how do you do it?
You need to have like an anchor almost to the present, which is basically where, like, you know, a ship.
I need to find my anchor. Where can I drop it?
you joker. No, but if there's like a ship, you know, that wants to just be still, it needs to have an anchor. So for you to be still, you have to find your anchor. So like, what is something you can use as an anchor to be present? My thing is my breath. You know, be aware of your breathing. Stop mouth breathing, nose breathe. You know, when you're aware that you're breathing, you understand, or you know that you are here now and you are nowhere else. So, and obviously it's like the mind is a muscle. You just got to train that, because the breath might not be enough at the start, but the more you build it, it will.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. I like the answer.
And some people might have different ways of doing things. you
Yeah,
know?
I mean, meditation is one way to be in the present as well. And you discussed a bit about meditation, and I just want to briefly touch on that as well, which is that
Meditate before we started.
we meditated before we
And
started.
before.
Yeah, like I mean, I never meditate before I start any sessions, and I do meditate in the mornings whenever I can. But meditation also has this stigma around that people think like it's just like whenever I sit down, it doesn't work. I just sit down.
There's no such thing as meditation not working. That you're not trying to think. Like, meditation is not trying to think. Like, you're always going to be thinking. It's just about being aware. If you can be aware of a thought, that means you're not that thought.
Yes,
You're the awareness behind that thought.
And it took me so long to figure this exact thing out, because I used to sit down and I'm like, I'm getting this thought in my head, and then I realized that
You're getting that.
I'm
thought.
getting that thought.
That's
like
right.
I'm seeing this as a third person. Like, I'm looking at this thought coming in my head, and I'm looking at it, and then I again like remind myself, okay, I'm out of this. Cool, let that go. Now I'm back in. And I think it's like doing bicep curls. You have to keep doing it, and then you will see your peak pop out slowly.
They will.
And I think that's kind of the repetitions, like putting in the reps, whether that's content creation, public speaking, writing a book, or doing this podcasting. You're just putting in the reps. I think that will really help.
That's right.
Next question is three habits that you believe got you here where you are today.
Consistency, self-awareness, and emotional control.
Nice. The part about consistency, right? It's so hard for people, but I think I don't want to give my opinion on this one, but I'll ask you, like, how do you constantly be consistent even by not forcing yourself? So, you know, we spoke about like sometimes you have to force yourself to be consistent, and that can be a bit negative to yourself as well. But how do you stay consistent without having to force yourself?
Well, I speak for myself, and you can relate to this in whatever form of content, whatever form
scenario.
Scenario you're in. But with me, with my videos, you know, I will post every single day. When I started off, I post 3 times a day, and I will continue doing the same kind of style, but just make the video just slightly different. So I'll be talking to the camera, you know, and I'll be saying a certain topic, but I'll do the exact same video in the next video and talk about a different topic. And I will just find like, okay, this video went really viral. Why did it go viral? To ask yourself why. I think we spoke about this before. Like, you know how children ask like, why? But why? It's like, you have to be like a child, because your inner child is where that creativity comes from. So you have to ask yourself, why did that go viral? You know, why do people like this particular video? And you just compare it to all the videos that aren't doing well. So that's my process. And then once a video goes viral, I'm like, okay, this works. I'm going to keep doing that.
Yeah.
Keep doing it. It goes viral. Eventually it will stop going viral. Then you're like, okay, I'm back in this position again. I'm going to start doing a whole different kind of thing, you know, but stay within the same niche or the same sort of like concepts and then just slowly but surely like build your way out. And when you have to, you got to build your way in again. You know, it's just about being adaptable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just to put into perspective for other people, like let's say you want to go to the gym,
Mhm.
find a way which is the most efficient or most fun way for you to go work out. Whether that's when you went to the gym, you enjoyed maybe doing some cardio like boxing or doing pad works or something like that, then go do that every day in the gym rather than pushing yourself and forcing yourself to pick up those weights and trying to be fitter, because there are multiple ways to become fit. So I like that so much, because I kind of had the best consistency in content, but I slacked a lot recently. The reason why is because I was overthinking and doing the stuff
That's right.
which was forceful. I had to force it and became like, there was so much friction for me, and that led me to eventually just give up and kind of burn out as well.
Yeah,
Man.
as within is so without is a phrase I like to use. What is inside of you will also translate into reality. If you're making videos and you're being very analytical about it, you're also going to make the other person watching it be analytical about it. And no one wants to use their brain. You want to be like when you're watching a video, I really get into that kind of like watching TikTok. I'm like, I want to just be as mindless as possible. Really and truly, I want to just be watching videos and just be entertained, smiling, laughing, whatever. Have like being emotional, because emotion is what creates virality. You know, not thinking too much about the video. It's about the emotion behind it. So when you say, you know, 5 figures a month, that brings out an emotion in somebody. Oh, I want 5 figures a month, you know, and they're watching it. You're not saying, oh, you know, this is how you do this thing here, there, whatever. Like, because if you do go too much into it, people are like, oh, this is too much for me. I'm just going to scroll. But it just depends what platform you're on as well. Like YouTube, you might go more in depth, but TikTok, you want to create an experience which like the person feels like they're watching something very easy to watch. Yeah. You know, make things easier for the person watching it.
This is few lessons I'm reminding myself as well, because I kind of have drifted from like the most basic is like trigger an emotion and the person will continue watching that video. And some videos I do, it comes naturally, just I'm bringing emotions into it. Like my last video I posted, it was just a story of myself, like how I went from this to that, and it was just like
and that's journey. The thing, I want to go into this as well, so I have to really like say about this, because people actually don't really care about you on the other side of the video. They don't actually care about what they care about, what you're doing and what you have to say. The moment you start bringing up stories about like, or say, when you say I, like people have scrolled, like they don't care. But when you say you, or if you say we, that's a lot better. You know, you want to make people feel included. That's right. Yeah. That's more tips.
I've gone back to I and you and I and you so many times that now there was one point where I was like, should I use you? And then I'm like, I've seen many people say like the best way to hook someone in is say you, like point at them as well, because that will kind of bring them in the video, be like, oh, this is me, he's talking about me. And I think the reason why and the reason why my throat was messed, but the reason why my conversation style video worked so well, where I'm going like, hey, what are you doing? And then I'm coming here, is because the person feels
that's right. Yeah, I've seen
they're in the video, and that's what made that style, and still is one of the best TikTok styles out there, because it just brings the person in the video, and they're like, he's talking to me right there. Yeah. So that was a great kind of tip for those content creators out there. The last question I want to ask is, what are your top 3 self-help books?
So would you say 48 Laws of Power would be self-help?
Yes.
Yeah. Number 1, 48 Laws of Power. Changed my life. Incredible book. I reference it all the time. So below that would be Atomic Habits. It just fits my worldview. It fits like the idea of like flow over force. And then below that would be probably How to Win Friends and Influence People. Because the reason why it would be the last one is because like I intuitively understood everything in that book already. But it's a very good like reference point if you want to understand, like talk more about, or let the other person talk more about themselves as opposed to you talking about yourself. Because when people talk about themselves, they associate you with being a good listener, and therefore they will naturally like you more. So stop trying to force conversations about yourself. Like just let the other person talk.
That's the one book which I've taken most tips from about communication and like speaking with people, and I use that every day. Like the most basic one is like listen more and talk less. It's like just listen, keep listening about other people, be more interested in the conversation. It's so basic, But as I said, common sense is not common nowadays.
Yeah, I mean,
to
we
people.
all intuitively understand this stuff,
Yes.
but it's when you read it, it's like you're remembering it.
It's crazy because some of the things I read nowadays in books, I'm like, wow, this sounds so simple and I know this as well, but I read this and now it just feels like something amazing I've read here,
That's right.
which has changed my life. But I know this thing and I think it's been covered from all the kind of filtering, as you said, through society
That's
since
correct.
you're born till the day you get out of uni.
Yeah.
You entered so many filters
Yeah.
that now it's like an onion. You have to
Yeah.
peel off
Yeah.
each layer until you get to the bottom.
That's
and
a
that's
good-
the
yeah.
hardest as well.
Mm.
But it's been an amazing conversation and it's been a great conversation. And I'm telling you, before I started this podcast, I was sitting here and thinking, how will I make this podcast better than the last one?
Yeah.
And by the end of this podcast, I do believe
It was
this
better.
was better and so much more value in this podcast than the last one as well.
Definitely.
The last podcast, I'll keep it for myself because I think some of the things we touched on was for me.
Mm.
And so you guys are not getting to see it.
Yeah.
but once again, thank you so much for coming, Lawrence. And guys,
Thank you.
you can check all his social media, TikTok, Instagram. He's not on YouTube yet. We did say last time he will get on YouTube.
I
very
post
soon.
on YouTube today.
He'll post on YouTube today.
Yeah.
Cool. So go check out all his social medias and you will cry. And I will see you guys in the next podcast. Take care.